The moment you look around at what is unfolding, you realize something big is happening. Not loud, not chaotic, but powerful in a way that scares the very people who have spent years trying to control the narrative around Harry and Meghan. There is a shift in influence taking shape, a rearranging of power that the British tabloids hoped the world would be too distracted to notice. But it is happening anyway. And whether the palace likes it or not, people everywhere are quietly asking the same question. What exactly is Prince Harry building behind the scenes, and why does it have the entire UK media system scrambling for air? Every time the tabloids think they have succeeded in burying the Sussexes under a pile of negativity, something unexpected rises up. Their attempts to dim the couple's presence only highlight their own desperation. The harder they push the idea that Harry and Meghan have lost relevance, the more obvious it becomes that the real decline is happening inside the institution itself. It is almost funny to watch editors try to convince the public that the people generating the most headlines, clicks and reactions worldwide are somehow irrelevant. Meghan posts one skincare moment and the internet melts. Harry attends one event and global media lights up. Meanwhile, the palace keeps pushing out stories that barely trend for the length of a tea break. What the monarchy and the press do not want to admit is that Harry and Meghan are not fading. They are evolving. They are moving into a new phase where their influence is self-made and not tied to tradition. And that scares the palace because it exposes a truth no royal PR team wants to face. The institution does not decide who becomes influential. Humanity does. Authenticity does. And Harry is showing that a prince who walks away from the cage can be more impactful than one who stays inside it. Behind closed doors, whispers are growing. People who once dismissed Harry as the spare are now noticing that he is building a network far beyond the reach of the palace. Leaders, creators, thinkers, humanitarians, entertainers, innovators, people who actually shape culture are gravitating toward him. Not because of title, but because he shows up as a real human being with real convictions. The old system cannot compete with that because the monarchy was built on distance, control, and curated perfection. Harry is building something entirely different, a modern court shaped by purpose and genuine relationships rather than hierarchy. The palace feels the shift deeply. For the first time in modern royal history, they are not battling another family or another crown. They are battling the idea of freedom. Harry represents a version of royal influence they cannot regulate. He is a reminder that choosing mental health, truth and love over tradition can lead to a fuller life. And nothing threatens an outdated institution more than someone who proves they never needed it to thrive. Which is why the smear campaigns return like clockwork. When the palace gets uneasy, the tabloids get louder. Meghan becomes the villain of the week. Harry gets painted as unstable. And the same tired storylines get recycled. But the issue is that the public has evolved. People are no longer buying the narrative. They are watching the cracks in the palace PR machine widen with every new headline. Because each time the media pushes the idea that Meghan is finished, she appears more successful than ever. Each time they call Harry lost, he delivers a speech that gets worldwide coverage. Each time they try to bury them, the Sussexes rise with even more grace and visibility. For certain members of the family, this must be humiliating. Imagine spending years branding your own brother as the backup, only to discover that he is the one the world feels connected to. Imagine watching the sibling you tried to control become globally influential on his own terms, without needing palace machinery or taxpayer-funded PR. The reason the idea of Harry forming his own independent court hits them so hard is simple: control. In the monarchy, isolation is everything. They manage your staff, your schedule, your friends, your media access. Once they control your environment, they control your life. That is how they kept Harry in line for so long. But once he walked out with Meghan and decided to live by his own values, that grip slipped forever, and the palace has no way to get it back. Now he is out here forming networks that are global, modern, inclusive, and intentional. He is proving that influence does not come from crowns or palaces. Influence comes from purpose. Influence comes from truth. Influence comes from being human, not from being perfect. And while the palace tries to push out choreographed photo ops and stiff speeches to maintain relevance, the world sees the difference. One side looks authentic, the other looks scripted. And then there is Meghan, the palace's most persistent nightmare. A woman too intelligent and independent to be moulded, too confident to be silenced, too accomplished to be dismissed. Her success does not depend on royal approval, and her glow does not need palace validation. That is why the media obsesses over her. That is why the palace cannot stop leaking stories about her. Meghan's entire existence exposes the weaknesses and insecurities of an institution built on outdated standards. So they project. They claim the Sussexes are running out of power when it is the monarchy itself that is struggling to stay relevant to newer generations. Public interest in the palace is shrinking. The mystique is fading. And the more they try to force themselves into relevancy, the more disconnected they appear. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan are choosing when to speak, when to engage, when to appear. That level of intentional control is a form of influence the institution never anticipated. What we are witnessing is not a downfall. It is a rebirth, a new blueprint, a quiet revolution. Harry is not recreating the monarchy, he is building something better, something healthier, something grounded in human connection instead of rigid hierarchy, something global, not limited by borders or titles. And Meghan is a key part of this evolution. She is the spark that illuminated the cracks in the palace and forced the world to look closer. She is the strategist who understands the power of purpose and alignment. She is the woman the palace could never control and will never forget. The media can scream all they want, but the world has already seen the truth. The Sussexes are not fading, they are rising. They are forming alliances with leaders, innovators, entrepreneurs, activists and philanthropists, while the palace remains stuck in PR cycles and internal drama. And this is why the Sussex Squad stands strong, to uplift truth, to counter lies, to support Harry and Meghan as they continue to build something enduring and meaningful. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for being here and for being part of this community. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and help the Sussex Squad continue to grow. If you would like to support even further, you can buy me a coffee or tap that super thanks button to help keep independent Sussex positive commentary alive and thriving. Your support keeps this platform strong, and trust me, the story is far from over. Harry and Meghan are stepping into a new era of influence, and the world will eventually understand what we have known all along. You cannot silence authenticity, you cannot crush purpose, and you cannot dim the light of people who were born to shine. Truth wins, love wins, and the Sussexes will always rise.